everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're going to be talking about the Australian OnlyFans creator Annie Knight, who was hospitalized and injured after doing a Bonnie Blue inspired stunt. Before we get to the actual story, I want to play you some clips of her doing an interview with her fiance, and just listen to the things that she says.
The regret is not starting.
Okay, so this is an interview she did a few months back, and listen to how she talks about her quote-unquote work.
OF sooner.
Okay. And
So her only regret is not starting in OnlyFans sooner.
so most people know you in Australia from was that 600 Schoolies challenge?
600, I was sleeping with 600 people in a year, and then I went to Schoolies to help me hit the final numbers.
Right. Okay. And they're sort of the barely legal. Okay. So
Barely legal. Interesting. Kind of weird. Kind of a bit disturbing.
in some, have you done other challenges too? That's the one that I know about.
Yeah, so I
What
did.
else?
I
What's
did
on the horizon as well.
I did a challenge the year previous, 365 people in a year.
Okay.
Did that, went up to 600.
So that's literally one a day. I'm sure she didn't just do one a day. I'm sure that there was many in a day to hit the numbers, but just think about that. Think about how disgusting that is, and how these women just have no self-respect.
Went to Schoolies with Bonnie Blue, hit 654 last year, started to one up myself, and this year aiming for 1,000 in total and 500 virgins.
And so what?
Huh. Sounds a little bit like a predator, doesn't it? This is a succubus.
Why the virgins then?
Because when I went and did Schoolies, there were a lot of virgins, and I realized how much fun it was teaching like an 18-year-old virgin how to have sex and how to pleasure a woman and educate them. And it was such a fun experience. They enjoyed it. They thanked me later. And in November.
Oh, I'm just educating them. And what this reminds me of, and we'll get to this later in the video, is all of the female teachers who prey on their male students. It's that same kind of very creepy, predatory mentality of taking an innocent young man and destroying his first experience with intimacy.
Last year, and I said, absolutely, sounds like fun. Then she got her visa cancelled. So she was overseas at the time, wasn't allowed back into Australia.
Good.
We kind of had to pivot, and she was like, we're going to Fiji. Like, do you want to come? And I was like, absolutely, let's go. So then we went to Fiji. We were there for 2 days.
Then we went to Fiji. Like, what kind? I cannot do an Australian accent, but my goodness, is this not just so irritating to listen to? Sorry, Australian friends. It's also like, honestly, the intonation of her voice as well. She does that sing-songy thing that just drives me crazy.
Managed to rail 23 barely legal 18-year-olds.
She says barely legal again and does this big smile. And who talks this way? What kind of woman talks like this? It's very disgusting. It's incredibly off-putting, and it's bizarre for a young woman to be using those kind of words in such a flippant, nonchalant way.
And then we got kicked out of the country and had to fly home to Australia and railed more 18-year-olds. No one stopped me. I was like, sick, bring them on.
No one stopped me from my predatory behavior. I mean, my goodness, I can't believe that this is allowed to happen. I mean, this platform, OnlyFans, should not legally be allowed to exist.
Sort of mentioned to me that like sometimes you guys have.
Oh, okay. And here is her fiance joins for the second part of this interview, and he is exactly what you would expect.
Some sort of boundaries around certain things you don't need to know, I guess.
For sure. I mean, that's just like the best way to put it is, how much would you want to know that your best mate is doing X, Y, Z, or whatever Annie's up to? Like,
you know what she's up to, and your best mate, she's not one of the dudes. This is supposed to be your future wife, potentially the future mother of your children, sir.
Like, we were best mates beforehand, and when Annie was gallivanting around and creating this life for herself, which I'm very proud of, she would come back and I'd be like, how was it? It's like, generally speaking.
Yeah.
And then if there's something major that came out of it, then it's like a second language almost. Like you just know. It's
I'm
like,
not going to go into great detail about every single thing that happened.
It comes naturally, like.
Yeah, he says, like, I'm so sorry, but oh my goodness. Could you imagine, like, a grown man, adult, thinking that this was acceptable, let alone desirable?
What, you guys know each
it's
other,
mutual
what's going to
respect,
be off.
for sure.
Yeah.
And so the marriage dynamic.
How is it mutual respect if she doesn't even respect herself? I doubt she respects this man at all because of how much of a cuck he is.
That you get involved in. Like, so I heard via media that you're committed to being fully faithful while Annie's not. So Annie can sleep with whoever she wants, whether that be 600 schoolies. And this is for all eternity till death do us part.
have mercy.
Is that the agreement? And if so, have you thought that through? Like,
Have I thought that through? So that's to say, this is where I like.
This man is on amphetamines. I'm sorry, but I've noticed it throughout the interview. It may be hard to see in these clips, but he's geeking on something.
As much time as we've got to talk about it, like, so we were best mates first and foremost from 16 onwards. And then she makes this huge life decision to build this career for herself.
Yeah.
And I supported every single step of the way. And I am by no means a saint. And I'm actually publicly not a saint prior to this. And when I suppose I wouldn't say I'm immune to it, but
This is like off the charts level of cope. I don't know what's going on here, but he's avoiding answering the question, which is he really going to be okay with this commitment that he made to allow her to sleep with as many people as she wants, to prey on as many young, vulnerable men as she wants, while he remains faithful.
like, I've been through all the challenges Annie's been through. I've seen how professional she's been with it. I've met a lot of people in the industry, and sort of like I heard this first part of this episode when you were asking about other people in the industry. It is so professional. Like, I completely understand that everyone finds it wild, and it might be something you can never fathom. But when you're in it and you've seen it and you see all the elements and you piece it together, it's not as full on as it seems.
Okay, so we're supposed to believe that he's okay with this. And by the way, we're going with the true crime vibe here with the thumbnail because let's be honest, her body is a crime scene. All right, so we'll now get to the story of what happened here. Annie Knight, who has endometriosis, and I'm going to call X to doubt on that. Like, that's what she's saying. Maybe she does. Maybe it's a side effect of the work, quote unquote, that she does. Faced heavy bleeding and needed medical tests after sleeping with 583 men in 6 hours. And she posts this video, oh, feel bad for me. Here I am in the hospital. Who could have foreseen this? And by the way, 583 men in 6 hours. I mean, try to do the math on that. This is like so disgusting. It's so dehumanizing, and it's certainly not empowering. So she is apparently known as Australia's most sexually active woman, rushed to the hospital after sleeping with 583 men in a single day. Annie Knight has been admitted to the hospital after a challenge during which she slept with 583 men in a day. She is 27 years old, so she's still pretty young, but she ain't that young. The 27-year-old, dubbed Australia's most sexually active woman, shared a video from her hospital bed on Wednesday to get more money from her simps after rushing in to be treated for cramps and excessive bleeding, just days after taking part in the filmed orgy on Sunday. Knight says that the issues stem from pre-existing conditions, which she claimed had been triggered by stress. She's coping. On Sunday, everything was all good, but the next day I had a lot of bleeding that I shouldn't really have because I'm on contraception and was a little bit worried about it, but decided I would wait it out and see how it goes, she tells Perth Now. Then it turned into really bad cramps and pains. Then I started to get a bit worried and decided to take myself to the hospital. Yeah. Knight added her doctors were at first concerned the bleeding and pain was a result of her intense challenge, but later ruled it out. Sure thing. We ran a bunch of tests all day. Then eventually it was my endometriosis had been exasperated by mostly stress, not so much the physical challenge that I did on Sunday. Yeah, we're all calling X to doubt on that. Endometriosis occurs when cells in the lining of the uterus are found elsewhere in the body. Each month, these cells react in the same way as those in the uterus, building up, breaking down, and bleeding, yet the blood has no way to escape the body. Heavy periods and fatigue, as well as a higher risk of infertility, bowel, and bladder problems. So we're to believe that her little stunt didn't make this worse, didn't have anything to do with the problems here. Its cause is unknown, but it may be genetic, related to problems with the immune system or exposure to chemicals. Treatment focuses on pain relief and improving quality of life. Knight was also in hospital with a mystery ailment just a month ago. What could be the cause of these ailments and these hospitalizations? I wonder. At the time, she looked unwell as she lay in bed in a photo shared by her fiance, Henry Brayshaw, this is like a rich kid. His dad is a famous sports broadcaster, and he's a total goof, as you saw. In the Instagram stories post, Annie wore a blue hospital gown and slept while surrounded by monitors. Where's the life support switch? Henry joked in the caption alongside the image. It was not explained by either Annie or Henry why the performer required the visit to the hospital. Gee, let's do a big think. The couple only recently announced they are set to marry after only 1 week of dating. Oh my goodness. The famous sex worker and her beau are set to walk down the aisle after Henry popped the question during a romantic dinner at the end of March. Appearing on the Kyle and Jackie O show, Annie admitted the pair's romance had only just gotten serious when Henry asked for her hand in marriage. The crazy bit about it is we've only been officially dating for a week. Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, her entire life seems crazy. However, we've been best friends for 10 years and dated in the past, and we've been sort of seeing each other recently. It's not a shotgun engagement or anything like that. It's been 10 years in the making, right? Annie says her engagement won't stop her from betting hundreds of men before her wedding night. Oh, this guy, I feel so bad for him, but you know what? He's an adult. He's making his own choices. Annie said her fiance is completely monogamous and faithful to her and is forbidden from sleeping with other women. But these rules don't apply to her, of course. Rules for thee, but not for me. Not only did Annie have sex with 600 men last year, she has her sights on doing 1,000 guys before the end of 2025 and says that wedded bliss with her husband-to-be isn't going to change anything. He's super supportive. He's just the best and understands I'm very work-oriented and that I enjoy my job. Unreal. So this is what's happening. It's so bizarre. Now, I want to read this quote here from her. This is from Marie Claire. Why Annie Knight's stunt feels like a misogynist fantasy, not empowerment. Yes, this is objectification. Good Lord. And putting them in pink balaclavas, like, this is just odd behavior. So she tells her followers, I'm not doing very well after she does this challenge. I've been bleeding a lot since the challenge, she says. She suffered a small cut. Imagine this. Imagine this. An open wound while you're having over 500 strange male body parts entering your body in a 6-hour period. This is horrifying. She says it's quite painful and unpleasant. Yeah, of course it is. Deeply disturbing, not just for Knight, but the 680,000 Instagram followers she has, many of them teenage girls who watched the event unfold. So just imagine that. This is insane behavior. That's from her Instagram. Now, she says this was an act of autonomy. And listen to how she tries to... Basically, she's saying if you criticize what she's doing, you're just jealous, as if anybody would be jealous of this. And then she makes it about the men. So she says, like, she's doing this service. At the end of the day, these men just want to have sex, and I'm providing a service for free, she explained, brushing off criticism and defending the participants. So it's just mind-boggling because she's not doing this for free. She's making a lot of money. This is performance designed for clicks, dressed up in soft lighting and influencer spin, and it's far from harmless. Yes, exactly. When girls are watching this play out online, edited to look glamorous, fun, even aspirational, what they're seeing is the aesthetification of harm. This is a culture where physical trauma is reframed as content, where pain becomes part of the brand, where the caption, I guess 583 guys in a day isn't that good for your body, is offered as a wink, as if it's all just for fun. So this is the kind of bizarre, psychotic stuff that we're dealing with. Here we have E! News. And this story gets into some of the other women who are doing this stuff. Bella Thorne, one of them. Oh yeah, and tons of illegal things are happening on OnlyFans. That's for sure. Sophie Rain, Lily Phillips, Bonnie Blue. By the way, did you know that this woman, Bonnie Blue, is in her 20s? Looking at her, you would think that this was a woman in her 40s. Am I wrong? This is, to me, this is a 40-year-old. This is literally the wages of sin on your face. I thought this was hilarious. The pictures of her and her boyfriend, like she has this event, this challenge, and then she ends up being hospitalized. And the boyfriend is just totally okay with this. He's totally fine with it. He says to her beforehand, have fun, be safe. Letting 583 guys in with the smiley face emoji as she posts this all over Instagram for her young teenage followers to look at and be influenced by. Here she is with the weird fiance. He says, she called me in the morning, or he called her in the morning and wished her luck. He said, make us proud and have fun. Who is us? You are proud by your fiance doing this? And then he called me the night of and was like, how was it? Could you imagine? What kind of man? It just, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. It is bizarre. So that guy obviously is a total doofus, total loser. Now, just to give some background on OnlyFans. OnlyFans is less ethical. I would say they're not ethical at all. They were blacklisting rival performers by adding their information to T watch lists. And there's a link to an article there that we'll look at next. But here we have from Rolling Stone, OnlyFans owner, that is a Ukrainian Care Bear named Leonid Radvinsky, pledged $11 million to the Care Bear lobby. And that's how much he's given. OnlyFans owner Leonid Ravinsky denies pledging millions to the pro-Care Bear lobby despite appearing on internal APEC documents obtained by the lever. So this is where this money is going, because these creators on the platform, they're getting like 80% of their earnings. 20% goes to the platform. And so that's where Radvinsky is getting the money. Here's the BBC article. OnlyFans accused of conspiring to blacklist rivals. These are criminal. It's a criminal organization. I don't understand how this is. There are minors on there. They claim they put an age verification system up, but it's very easy to bypass that. This was tested by journalists who did so. So it's just very disheartening that it continues to exist. OnlyFans has been accused of conspiring to blacklist the social media accounts of performers working for rival websites. Legal documents previously unreported claim OF directed an unidentified social media company to disable accounts of performers by placing their content on a T database. It is alleged that OF representatives paid bribes to the firm's employees to facilitate the practice. Again, it's a criminal organization. OF says it is aware of the legal claim and that it has, quote, no merit. Sure thing. The UK website OF, best known for hosting horrible imagery in video, the devil's iconography, according to Saint Seraphim, thank you very much, has grown hugely in recent years. It lets users share video clips and photos with subscribers in return for tips or a monthly fee. Performers use the accounts, including Twitter and Instagram, to promote links to adult websites showing their explicit content. BBC News has learned that rival adult website FanCentro has begun legal action against Leonid Ravinsky and the company which receives OnlyFans payments, Phoenix Internet LLC. Yeah, look into that, guys. It's dark. The claim was submitted to a U.S. court in Florida last November, but has been unreported until now. It alleges OF directed an unidentified social media company to blacklist many competitor websites in 2018. These people are gangsters. They are mafia individuals. As I have been saying, welcome to the Care Bear Mafia. FanCentro claims the social media content of their performers promoting rival websites was placed in an international database, the Global Internet Forum to Counter T. The database uses advanced technology to stop the spread of T images by recording a unique digital signature for them known as hashes. The hash database is shared between all 18 members of the forum, including, listen to this, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. I'm sorry, who elected this forum of people that get to make these decisions? None of these people work for actual law enforcement. It's absurd. Like, what? If one company hashes a video or photo, it is flagged to other members so they can moderate similar content on their platform. This gets into, by the way, their collusion behind the scenes to censor people they don't like. We all knew that the big tech companies coordinated this stuff. They claim they didn't do so. They are a cartel. According to the legal action, FanCentro believes the database was manipulated, resulting in many of their performers having social media posts removed and accounts disabled, despite them not containing any T content. This happened most notably on Instagram, unsurprising, also owned by another Care Bear. It is claimed the resulting reduced visibility of their performers on social media led to a marked decline in traffic being driven to rival websites of OF. So when they tell you that it's like a free market or whatever, this isn't true at all. So we'll move on from that. OF is a predatory pyramid scheme that turns women into e-prostitutes under the false guise of liberation and empowerment. The owner of OF could easily be considered the most successful pimp in human history. How about most successful trafficker? I mean, it's wild. This is the picture she posted on Instagram. My fiance and I just find that so ironic. And then she's doing the things that she's doing. My goodness. So we've got another woman here. I traded my 9-to-5 job for OnlyFans. I'm working harder with more hours than ever before. If I don't, I'm effed. So this is from just last month. Alex Lynx plans to never work a 9-to-5 job again because she can't stand the repetitive nature of office work. The 35-year-old, I love how they call them sex workers, by the way. It's ridiculous, was making over $80,000 working a corporate job, but she found it completely uninspiring. Yeah, because you should be married and having children and taking care of your kids. You should be a mom. That's why you find things so uninspiring. Women aren't meant to be in the corporate world like that. So I can understand that, but why would you turn to something like OnlyFans? The worst part is having to be at the exact same place at the exact same time every single day. It was like Groundhog Day. Yeah, that's how most people have to live their lives in this society. Sitting at a desk all day made her feel stir crazy, claiming she was expected to just stare at her computer screen until 5 p.m. The work was monotonous and boring. I felt like I was on somebody else's time, making somebody else's money. Yeah, well, did you guys not want equality? I mean, why should you have anything different than men? Men have to do that too. At one point in her career, the 35-year-old, who has over 2 million followers on Instagram, had a social media job. However, she became disheartened after constantly having her good ideas, sure, I'm sure they were good, squashed by her boss. I hate being told what to do when it's coming from someone who I know doesn't know as much as I do about a certain thing, she said. I didn't like having to smile and nod and say yes when inside I felt like I had other ideas and we could have done certain things better. This is when I realized, oh, I need to be my own boss. So instead of coming up with an actual business plan or an idea for a business, she just decided to sell her body. Lynx ended up joining OF. She creates X-rated content online, and even though she enjoys the work more, she actually believes it's harder than the 9-to-5 grind. Oh, like, hello, duh. Why would you think it wouldn't be? What made you think that that was going to be better than the office job? It is so much harder, she says. The difference is that is something I love to do. So it really does not feel like work. But don't get me wrong, it's harder because I have to think on my feet all the time. Lynx said her work is no longer boring and the same every day. Now she's constantly having to think of new ideas. Every day is a brand new day, and I don't always know what's going to happen. But that's what makes it exciting, she says. The more I work, the smarter I work, the more successful I am. Well, you're already 35. You got maybe another 5 years tops before you stop earning money. Your looks fade. They don't last forever. You know, gravity starts having an effect, and you can get all of these gross plastic surgeries, but I don't think people like that or are attracted to that. The 35-year-old has pointed out that she's now always motivated to succeed because no one is coming to save her, because it's her business. There's always a fire under my butt. At the end of the day, this is my business. This is my career. No one's going to save me. So if I don't work hard, I'm screwed, she says. Get the joke? All the weight is on me. All the pressure is on me. And if I don't do well, that's on me, no one else. She uses her brain so much more now, she claims, because she's constantly coming up with different ways to pose in front of the camera or different kinds of graphic videos to make. There's always a challenge I never expected that I got to work through. It's a lot. As a business owner, I'm wearing a bunch of hats. I'm overseeing everything. I'm contacting my publicist. I've got graphic design meetings. I'm working on branding stuff. I'm chatting with other creators, planning out scenes, figuring out what kind of scenes we want to shoot, coordinating schedules, planning social media content, when we're posting, what we're posting. I'm constantly steering my brand and business in the direction I want it to go. I'm sorry, but this sounds worse than the 9-to-5 job. Who on earth would want to have to do that literally 24/7 all the time? Unless this is like a narcissism thing and she just enjoys having all of the followers. I mean, it seems like, wouldn't it have just been easier to do your actual office job where she made, not great money, but decent money? She says she feels like her life has meaning now because she's in charge of her own success and creativity. That does mean that the days of finishing work at 5 p.m. are behind her. She doesn't have a set finish time anymore. I'm pretty much on from the moment I open my eyes to the time I go to bed. It sounds miserable. It's hard to put an exact number on how many hours a week I work, definitely more than 40. For links, depending how much she works is hard because she recognizes it depends what people define as work. Is it work when she's on the phone with her graphic designer, mapping out her next move? Is it work when she's taking a personal development course with hopes it'll make her a better business owner? I'm always doing something. Weekends, Sundays, I work through it all, she says. This is just crazy. Though I do try to carve out at least one full day a week to completely unplug just to recharge, I don't always do that. But I've realized how important it is. It has gotten to the point where the OF star admitted she's having a hard time if she's not working. I feel like I'm wasting my time if I'm not doing something productive. I optimize my time a lot. I order groceries and eat the same meals daily so I don't waste time on little decisions. So she has no kids. Her every waking moment is spent devoted to her so-called brand and taking images of herself and putting them online. It's sad. Then we have this woman. I made the mistake of basically handing over my identity to an OF management that gave me zero transparency about how they'd promote me. I had no real intention of ever doing it, but I fell for the easy money, no consequences lie, and every day I regret it. Girls get sold this idea by male-run management companies, and I can promise you, if you don't have a real interest in doing OF, never do it. Once you sign with them, they will promote you however they want, with no regard how it affects your image, reputation, or mental health. They do not care about you, only what they can make off of you. I wish I never did it. I did not look at the platforms they used for promotion, and I should have been better at monitoring them. I would never have chosen to market myself the way they did, and I take full responsibility for not realizing it sooner. I was naive in putting my trust into these people. I don't stand by it, I don't agree with it, and I would never want to be associated with that type of promotion. I hate how my name and identity was used. This was one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made, and I wish I could have told my younger self this before it was too late. With that being said, she then stupidly says, I have nothing but respect for women who do sex work because they genuinely want to, but that was never me, to which I learned while doing it and quit. I was misled and hope my mistake can serve as a warning for anyone being promised the same as I was. Well, and that's the sad part about this. And so this is an idea of what she's talking about, how they put out these videos that are really advertisements for the platform, and they interview the few girls who are making a lot of money on these platforms, because guess what? Most aren't.
All right, how much did you make last month?
6 million.
All right, next person. That was underwhelming. I don't even.
6 million in a month.
Aisha, how much did you make last month?
Like around 2.5 mil.
2.5 million.
Because I do.
How much did you make last month?
1 million.
All right, next person. much did you make last month?
I just made 100K last month.
Yes!
This one looks like a child and is wearing braces. My goodness.
Okay. Jujubine, how much did you make last month?
600.
$600? Okay. Wow. Remember when we used
Because
to be
of you!
I wouldn't.
This is so disturbing, and honestly, it's so sad. The lure of OnlyFans get rich quick hides a brutal truth. Selling sexuality erodes the soul. The cash won't cover the fallout. Lost dignity, fractured souls, and a legacy of emptiness. The women don't see the damage yet, but it will haunt them long after the money's gone. And I would suggest that they're not pocketing all of that money. Like the lady said, you have to pay promotional people to promote your content. So you have to pay like a social media team. You have to pay graphic designers to design your content. You have to have a team of people. Like we saw with the Lily Phillips thing, she has an entire team of like 10 different people that are there to help her facilitate these disgusting challenge events. So there's a lot of people that have to be paid. I'm sure she has to have a lawyer that she has to pay for doing these kinds of stunts. So it's not like they're pocketing all of that money. They're saying, oh, I made this much money. But in reality, what are they actually keeping after they have to pay all these other people? And of course, OF taking a 20% cut right off the bat.
Feminists doing that's empowering, yet you're relying on creepy, disgusting men who think you are disgusting and trash to ironically pay your bills, which is probably the most degrading thing in the entire world. Whereas actually, if you were in an office, it would be a lot less degrading. You could actually have respect in an office. And do not get offended when you come into the dating pool and dating world and you are seen as a low-value woman. In my eyes, you are. In every man's eyes, you are.
Yes, I would suggest that that's true. I don't know what's going on with Annie Knight's fiance. I think there's some mental issues there. I think this man has some problems. He's probably into some really weird stuff. But for the most part, what she's saying is correct. This is absolutely true.
And don't get offended when people don't want to marry you, don't want you to be their girlfriend. You're going to hit the real world eventually. It's just a matter of time, and no one with any level of like a brain would ever respect someone who does that.
But there's a lot to unpack there.
I don't go on the internet and expect people not to judge me. You cannot be a sex worker and expect people not to judge you.
I agree with that.
So just don't complain about the outcome. Go get your bag.
Yes.
And then deal with no one thinking that you're a valuable human, and also bringing just shame to your family name as well.
Yes, and these women don't think that they're valuable because they're giving away for free what, if they actually had self-worth, they would obviously not be giving it away in the way that they do. It's so sickening and sad. The reality of OnlyFans is that over 2 million women on the platform earn less than $50 a month. So you have these young girls who think that, you know, they're vulnerable. Maybe their family is poor. Maybe they grew up on welfare or food stamps or whatever. And they see these videos of these so-called creators, these really succubus, sick women who are pretending like this is so fun and empowering and great, and they're making so much money, and they see it as like, oh, this is low barrier to entry. All I need is a phone and, you know, an internet connection, and I can create an account here and start making money. Well, they don't have the team that these people have. It is an actual industry, no different than the corn industry. And so they're fooled into putting these intimate images of themselves online. And it doesn't stay behind a paywall, by the way. They're, you know, the people who pay for a subscription or pay a one-time fee to view that content can easily just take a screenshot or just take a picture from another device and then go post it publicly. And then before you know it, it's all over the entire internet for $50 a month. Is it really worth it? It's so sad. So over 2 million women on the platform earn less than $50 a month. Wow. selling your dignity for less than $50 a month. Even if you make it into the top 10% of models, your average income will only be around $1,000 a month. So you could honestly, you could earn more money as a receptionist answering a phone from just 9 to 5. You could earn more money waiting tables. Like, this is just insane to me that anybody is conned into doing this. $1 million earnings are rare. It is the industry's main advertisement. So, as you can see, very few people are making a lot of money on the platform. Very few are making millions. And like I said, a lot of that money has to go to pay the industry, the people who are promoting you. And just to give you an idea of what the owner looks like, this is Leonid Ravinsky, the Ukrainian Care Bear who owns OnlyFans. He bought it off of the son of the British banker who created it. And so he is the current owner, giving millions of dollars to AIPAC and the Care Bear Nation. You couldn't make it up if you wanted to. The entire corn industry is created by these people, run by these people. OnlyFans is for sale at $8 billion as TriWink is building for creators in this space. Here's my take on why they are for sale, what this means for the Web3 and industry going forward, why sell. In 2014, it did 6.6 billion volume with 658 million pre-tax profit. 8 billion is low, so why are they selling? I have several speculations. Increasing trend of regulatory tightening around payment processors. It is no market secret amongst banks, payment processor providers, and on-off ramp providers. Financial regulations are tightening due to the increase of deep fake impersonations, deceptive AI-generated content. Consequently, Wink uses AI to detect and ban deceptive and harmful content, while having strict KYC rules for creators to ensure a safe platform. Yeah, as if this thing is safe. Tim Stockley, the original founder of OF, launched a new site called Subs, which is a mobile-first OF experience with similar features to its web version. The board wants out and park capital elsewhere. The OF platform rarely launched any new features over the past several years, despite numerous user feedback on internet forums. Perhaps the core team decided it's time to move on to other things. I personally love building Wink with our creators. I made new interesting friends, blah, 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 blah. So this person is, promoting their own thing here, but I find this interesting of why it is selling now and it's for sale for just $8 billion. And then we've got this woman. Police open human trafficking case after OF model 20 was found injured on the side of a road in Dubai. No suspect had been named in the investigation, which Ukrainian police announced March 29th. So there's that. Police have reportedly opened a human trafficking case after Maria Kovlochuk, a missing Ukrainian OF model, was found on the side of the road in Dubai with severe injuries. Maria, 20, was missing for 10 days after informing friends she was invited to a hotel party in Dubai on March 9, causing her loved ones to worry after missing a scheduled flight to Thailand. So this is the kind of thing these women are doing that are on this platform. The Lviv, sorry, I cannot pronounce the Ukrainian nonsense, native was later discovered near a Dubai road March 19 with multiple injuries, including a broken spine and several broken limbs. She was subsequently rushed to the hospital, Daily Mail reported at the time, and required 4 surgeries. Her mother Anna later told the outlet she was expected to recover. According to Dubai police, investigators determined that the model, quote unquote, sustained her injuries by entering a restricted construction site alone where she, quote, fell from a height. No. We're all calling X to doubt on that. Her loved ones, however, reportedly refuted the police's account at the time. Dubai police could not be reached by people for comment. Now she is in stable condition, and Ukrainian police have opened a human trafficking case in relation to her disappearance. The National Police of Ukraine, and specifically the main investigation department from where she is from, has officially launched the case. Ukrainian police announced the case along with a pre-trial investigation that is already underway. Maria's mother had previously told the Daily Mail she cannot comment on her daughter's disappearance because of the investigation. It is not immediately clear whether she was referring to the investigation announced by police or the one being conducted by other officials. Prior to her disappearance, Maria reportedly told Anna that she was staying with two men, according to several media reports, who introduced themselves as representatives of the modeling business. So, like, what are these women thinking? They have no common sense at all. They put themselves in dangerous situations. As for the hotel party she told friends she was invited to, it's not clear whether she actually attended. There is an assumption she went to a party, but the promoter who organized the parties says he didn't see her. Anna also previously said following her medical procedure, she cannot speak. She said the model had no documents or phone after she was located. People have flooded her Instagram account where she goes by Mary Lou with well wishes. So there is a follow-up to this. OF model found dumped on Dubai Road with broken spine was, quote, tortured by Russians. The 20-year-old OF model from Ukraine was found on the roadside in Dubai after suffering horrific injuries, and it was initially thought she had attended a notorious porta potty event. God only knows what that means. An OF model who was feared to have been kidnapped into sex slavery and later found badly injured had been tortured by Russians, says Ukraine, so I'm sure we can trust that. The 20-year-old from Ukraine was discovered on a roadside with a broken spine and limbs. She'd been in a coma after she was found close to death from having fallen from a height. Initial reports allege she attended a so-called porta potty event at which female social influencers and models can be paid huge sums to be subjected to extreme and degrading abuse. So you know what's happening to them at these parties. It's sick. But now a source close to the Ukrainian model has insisted she was abused by unidentified Russians in the UAE, not local citizens. The source denied multiple reports that the model had left Dubai and was convalescing in Ukraine. We are in Dubai and it was Russians who tortured her. UAE citizens had nothing to do with it. That's all I can say for now. She is apparently getting better, but remains under treatment after her horrific ordeal. The local police were investigating the quote-unquote Russians who quote-unquote tortured her and also condemned quote-unquote false reporting about her case. Dubai police are known to be investigating the woman's horror ordeal, and a Ukrainian criminal case was opened into human trafficking. The new account comes after multiple Ukrainian and Russian reports said she'd been abused after attending a party in Dubai. Ukrainian news outlet 24 TV said another model who managed to escape from the fateful party claimed it was a trap. Before the party and trip to the villa, women were forced to sign a contract according to the terms of which they had to simply accompany wealthy men. However, in reality, the women were hard, beaten, and mistreated. Yeah, I mean, if you have common sense, you can figure out what is going to happen. Why would you go to the UAE to attend a party? Why would you go to Dubai? I mean, this is just common sense stuff, people. The source, named as Senya, said loud screams were constantly heard from closed rooms. You can tell from her appearance she was involved in something horrific, and that horror apparently is what led to her being so badly broken. She revealed a circuit of degrading elite parties where foreign models and influencers are promised large sums, tens of thousands of dollars, in exchange for actions that border on violence, humiliation, and even physical mutilation. Before vanishing, the model had earlier participated in an event in Dubai in support of a Russian sociologist. jailed in his own country. Fascinating. So moving on, even Amaranth is warning people against joining OF. She says, do not do it. It's not good for you. It only works if you're already an established creator. Suki's mom says she's right and she should say it. OF is a digital pimp that traps young women with promises of enrichment when the reality is most creators will hardly make any money. It is unsustainable, unpredictable, and damages your ability to find other employment. I would also say it damages your soul. And one other thing I want to touch on while we're talking about this nonsense, this degeneracy, is VTubers. I know that I'm gonna make some of you guys mad who simp for these creatures, and I know it's not all of them, but some of these people are promoting pedo stuff. Look at this video. This is one of it. Look at the word it is saying here. While it's looking like a child character with a child's voice, yeah, it also has ears on it, but that's not the point. The point is, this is designed to look and sound like a child, and yet it is allowed to be on platforms where it caters to adult men. That's what these people do, and I think it's very weird, very creepy, very disturbing. And finally, one other thing I'll add is, what is going on with female predators? San Diego student support aide arrested for the alleged SA of one of her students. 31-year-old Lizette Ortega Velez is accused of SAing a teen almost half her age. What is this thing doing working at a school, by the way? Female teacher student arrest number 38 for 2025. This is the 5th one this week. What is going on with these female teachers and being a pedo? I don't get it. Has this always been a thing? I mean, I think the internet has made it easier than ever for predators to have access to children. The internet allows them to do so anonymously for the most part. And I just think that, you know, probably before the internet, there was probably more risk involved to, you know, actually physically find a child. Maybe you had to be around them. And I wonder if that's why they're drawn to the teaching profession, because then, you know, each year they come to them instead of having to go out and look for children to victimize. But there's something very profoundly disturbing about all of these stories coming out about female teachers being predators, because it's always portrayed to us in Hollywood that it's male teachers who are doing this kind of thing, when it actually seems like it's more women than anything else that are doing this stuff. So anyways, this video has gone on long enough. We're almost at an hour long, so I'm interested to know what you guys think of this. I think it's horrible. I think it's wicked and demonic. I think it's sad. And I feel for this woman for being injured and hospitalized for what happened, this Bonnie Blue inspired stunt. But she also chose to do it. And by the way, after being hospitalized, she said it's not going to slow her down. She's only going to take a week off, and then she's going to go right back to doing it. So it's really hard to feel bad for them when they don't learn from their behavior and they display predatory tendencies like she did when we listened to the clips in the beginning, and she was bragging about preying on these vulnerable young innocent men and taking their innocence. It's sickening. But we see a pretty face, and for some reason we don't understand that these people can be monsters. They can be predators, just like an ugly, gross, disgusting man. This is also the face of a predator. And so I'm interested to know what you guys think, and I hope you guys have a good day. One thing I want to ask of you is to please keep my cat Buddy in your prayers. If you follow my social media, you know we've had Buddy for a long time, 13 years now. He's the one here laying on the ground with his paws up. That picture, he's with his brother Brutus, who passed away back, I think, at the end of 2023. And he hasn't been the same really since he lost his brother. But his kidneys are failing, and we're trying to give him special renal support food. But, you know, it's not something that can be reversed, his kidneys failing. So please keep him in your prayers. He is my Mr. Fangles boy, my sweet boy. If you're a channel member, he is one of the cat emoji pictures. The other one is Bobo. And he's just, you know, he's older than my daughter. So I've had him for a very long time. And I knew him before he was born, when he was in his mommy's tummy. His mom, Big Buddy, was a street cat that we used to take care of, and he was the only one. So she gave birth to a litter of kittens under the neighbor's shed, and Buddy was the only cat who would come out for food and milk. And it's so funny because he used to hang from his mom's tummy, just suckling her, and she would walk around and like he would just be dragging under her belly because he loved milk and food so much. And he's just, you know, part of the family. So please keep him in your prayers. And that's it. I hope you guys have a good day. Whee!